Dave from What Game Now and Nick again. We're going to spend the day looking at a few things, and there's one thing we wanted to go over, something that Nick's been helping to work on too, right? And that is a miniatures game that's been out for a little while, and they're coming up on a revision of the rules. So right now the game is in its 2.0, and it will be in a 3.0 coming...
hopefully early Q1 2020.
Okay. So, and it is Heavy Gear.
It's called Heavy Gear Blitz.
Heavy Gear Blitz. And Nick brought something up to me earlier that I completely forgot, but any people around my age or so, our age...
You may recognize that name. You may not know you recognize it, but you might recognize it. So Heavy Gear is produced by a company called DreamPod 9, and they've had this media universe since 1994. Now, the first time this really got exposed to a large-scale public audience was when Microsoft lost the rights to do the MechWarrior games. They wanted another mecha combat game.
Right.
So they actually reached out to this company and made 2 video games called Heavy Gear and Heavy Gear 2, and also a 40-episode TV show in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And I had, it just triggered in me. He's mentioned this game to me a few times, and then when he said that earlier, it's triggered. I was like, oh yeah, I remember the games, not so much the show, which I'm going to go find that and track it down so I can take a look at it.
You're not missing much.
Yeah, but it'd be fun to relive a few things. But the one thing that I truly love, he showed me the models and I'm just now seeing them a few minutes before we sat down. They're the difference, the scale.
Yeah, so it's 1/144th scale.
Right.
So it's an actual standardized scale. You can see the infantrymen here. Like I said, you're looking at 1/144th scale, which is about N-gauge model railroad.
Yeah.
Works really good.
Oh, that just brings up a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
I have some N-scale trains right down there. We're gonna set up.
It fits perfectly.
We're gonna set up a board with some N-scale trains,
it's in that scale. But yeah.
But so we're talking like heavy robots. I don't know if I want to go to the mech standards.
All right. So here's the TLDR. Heavy Gear is a reference to a combat vehicle called a gear in the universe. Think the power loader from Aliens, but with guns. These are not fully articulated mecha like you would see in a Japanese anime. They are, if you allow them the absurdity of giant robots, they play within a very defined set of rules. That's actually the biggest one in the universe. It's called a Hussar. These little guys here are actually the standard size. So your average human goes up to about halfway up their upper thigh.
Yes.
And they're one-man piloted machines. They have a minor support AI. You're not going to see these things doing handstands and fighting martial arts.
No, they're definitely not. But there is a nice variety here on the table now of different sizes and vehicles, hover tanks, these Walker type units here.
Yeah, so you're looking at 5 different factions here. And like they've said, there's tanks, there's infantry. This is not, the gears are the end-all be-all. They are a portion of a fighting force. They have a job, they have a role. They're designed to fulfill that role, but you still have tanks and infantry and aircraft.
Right. And not that it is, and we know there are 2 different properties and such, but the scale of these infantrymen and stuff really remind me of the WizKids Clicks game from MechWarrior.
Yeah, that had some weird scaling issues. Though,
yeah,
where not everything was always to scale.
Sure.
But this is all to scale.
But these little dudes right here have a job. That unit has a job, and you have to work together to make them all into a cohesive fighting force.
Now, full disclosure, it's called Heavy Gear, so these are the main focus of the game. You can play the entire game with just heavy gears, but you don't have to. It's not like, oh, my opponent put tanks out, I just win. No, actually, the tanks tend to curb stomp the gears pretty bad.
So, and we're not going to go into heavy rules stuff and so on and so forth
yet.
Exactly.
Not this video.
So I'm looking at these models and I'm like, I must find out what this game plays like. We're just doing a quick
history. So, like Dave said, we're rolling up to 3.0 for this rule set soon. I say we because, fun fact, why we're here. When they did their 3.0 rules, it started in about February of last year. they opened it up to community feedback. And I got involved and did enough stuff that I'm actually credited in the rulebook for both game design and editing.
Yes.
So full disclosure on that front. I didn't get paid for it or anything like that. It was entirely volunteer community work. But
which appeals to me in the fact that one of the things I like to do with What Game Now is find people who are passionate about certain things and then have them talk about it and play games with it. So
I put a couple 100 hours on this,
right? So
and I didn't get paid for it.
So that in itself is a passionate endeavor, because if you're not getting paid for it, then by definition you must have some sort of a passion for doing it. So now, the reason why I wanted to make this video was just to show you some of the models, and I wanted to ask Nick a couple of questions, and then we're going to give you all the information in the description about the company, the game, they have, so on and so forth, so that you can take a look at it and see if you what you think of it. So I'm looking at this array of different things. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm noticing what looks like on the gears. What's that? 32 millimeter bases.
They're 32 mil bases.
We have some
There's
differences.
40 is a 50 and a 60.
Right. And we have some differences too with
1-inch hex
these hexes also. But is that hex there?
So the basing standard for this game is very open. They come out with the front and say, here are the acceptable base sizes for your models. Here's how they're going to interact because of that. Go. Right. Technically, all of the gears could go on as small as a 25 mil base, like that. I think it looks too small. I prefer the 32s.
Okay.
These things don't even have to have bases.
Right. So I was noticing.
Yeah, the tank. That tank doesn't have a base.
There's no base on that.
This guy does.
He's hovering.
But right. That's the thing, is the rules cover a variety of different types of bases. So it's up to you. You don't even have to be consistent with your opponent. It's fine.
Okay. So, how long has the game, since its first iteration, been out of ballpark?
1994.
Okay, so the game did come out around the same time as...
Yeah, so when the company came out, they came out with a role-playing game, which still exists, and then a miniature game, which was the combat system pulled out and made into a game. If you've played BattleTech, it's kind of that dynamic, where it's really an RPG and then the RPG's combat system.
Through community help, which included Nick's help, they were able to change some of that and make it less of a combat pulled out of an RPG and more of a miniatures game.
Yeah, so over time, in 2006, they rebranded the miniature side as Heavy Gear Blitz. It's previously just called Heavy Gear Tactical is what we call it. That rolled out, and then in 2015 was 2.0, and then this year is 3.0.
Yep.
And when they did 2.0 in 15, that went to the living rulebook model. This is a living rulebook. Your rules are free. You don't pay anything. They did that. They rolled it out. There were some internal issues with the company. They weren't quite able to execute on as well as they wanted. The guy who was behind the rules development, there were some issues. A new guy has taken over, and he's very actively involved. In fact, I actually have his personal cell number and text messaging. It's that level of involvement. And go.
Okay, so like I said, he's very involved in the game, and we want to not only play a game that Nick has a passion for on the channel, but also give some exposure the best we can. We're not a huge channel, but to kind of get it out there and show people what it's like to see it, and give something to the people out there who are playing the game, that a go-to place to go for new content and stuff like that.
A lot of people never heard about this. I get around the miniature gaming circle. I didn't hear about this until 5-6 years ago.
So that's what one of the things we're all about. So we want to make sure that we expose people to games that they may not know are out there. Of course, Games Workshop and even Privateer Press, and these are the known entities in the miniatures gaming world. But there are a number of companies out there making some really cool games that we want to show. Mm-hmm. And this is one of them that we're going to show. Nick's made some how-tos and stuff that are going to be coming out soon. Yeah,
so I didn't get paid to help them with the rules development, but originally I pitched to them that we were going to do a rules series on this channel, and they kind of took it, ran with it, and I ended up doing them officially for them. So you're going to see there's a YouTube channel for Heavy Gear Blitz that is going to have my how to play videos uploaded. There's like 15 of them.
We'll put a link for that in the description too. Nick can give that.
As soon as they're up, they're not up.
Well, right.
But we're going to do a lot of the painting and the lore and the universe stuff here. I've actually already recorded a kind of an introduction to the game.
Right, and what I'd like to do also, because as people are starting to understand, I really am into the hobby side too. I would like to get a hold of at least like a starter box or something like that, and just go through, assembling and painting and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that brings me to my next question. We talked about it with Legion and other games. So what is the assembly like on the models that are currently?
So the models are either resin, metal, or PVC plastic. So PVC plastic is the same thing that Star Wars Legion's made out of. So all the stuff, a quick clean, and then the models go together, and they generally go together very well. I'd say there's some plastics. So the 2.0 coincided with the release of 4 of the Army starter boxes in plastic. While generally good, it was a first-time experience for the company, so they're not perfect. They do have some problems. Right. I haven't had any issues. Once you get the hang of what's going on, they're really not that bad. The resin and metal stuff goes together beautifully.
Okay.
So no real comments there. It is all super glue, so no plastic glue used.
Okay. And that happens when it comes to new endeavors, right? You find things that happen, and then you can just fix them. And apparently they're on top of fixing them in their next set of releases.
Yeah, so the next wave, 3.0 is coinciding with the 3 of the remaining factions to get plastic starter boxes. They fixed a lot of the production issues. They look gorgeous. Okay. Absolutely gorgeous.
And I think, Nick, you have a couple of pictures we might include.
Yeah, I'll include some pictures and all that.
But we're going to give you information on where to see information about the game. There's a lot of the rulebook information and stuff like that. Yep. It's already out there, just not in the pretty format.
Yeah, so the rulebook's actually a 120-page Word doc right now.
Right. So you got a Word document.
Getting prettied up with pictures.
If you want to go through it and look at what's going on, check out the universe stuff and so on and so forth. I think that's available out there too, where you can kind of get an idea of what the universe is like.
The basic rulebook comes with a summary of the universe. Okay. You can actually go through a company called Drive-Thru RPG and buy their RPG expansion books for like $5-6 a crack.
Right. Really
cheap, and there are plenty of them.
And get the whole story and stuff like that if that's what you're into. So we didn't want to make a huge long video. I think. Okay, there's one more question that I wanted to ask. When it comes to most miniatures games, obviously you can do whatever you want, but are there factions and things like that have a specific paint style or like a...
your painting is irrelevant. You can paint them whatever you want.
Okay. But are there any out there that, like in like previous rule books or anything like that show certain factions in the universe that have a specific color or...
Yeah, so like the box art is a good place. There's box art, and you can see what the model's parade color scheme looks like. Again, this company, if you let them have the absurdity of giant robots, tries to play within a realistic world. So these robots do not walk around like this. This is not combat colors. I did them as a demo army so people could identify them.
Right.
That is not what that army's going to go to combat in. They're going to go into combat in something like this.
Right.
Okay. So paint scheme is very fluid even in universe. Units get repainted as they head into combat.
Sure, depending on location and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think that covers just about everything as far as things except for and this is the ballpark. I'm not gonna put Nick on point here to ask this question by the way, but what is your standard army size? What kind of investment?
Sure. So a standard army size, if you play 40k, the equivalent of about 2,000 points, 75-point War Machine game, 300-point Infinity, is 150 threat value, is what this game is. Threat value is points. You're looking at a dozen, 14 models tops in most cases, unless you really, really push the spam button.
Which I like. You know, I'm more of a low model count.
Chunky Boy here is like in the mid-30s.
Right.
So that's not that bad. He's 9. Where'd he go? This guy's 7 or 6. So they can get down there. That little infantry down there is 3.
Yeah.
The tanks can get in the upper 20s, low 30s. Okay. So you can play ultra low model count. If you really push the spam button, maybe 20 guys.
Okay,
and fun fact, all of the starter boxes, all 7 of them that are plastic, build a 150 point army box out of the box, usually with models left over.
Okay.
So...
And you're talking about they have different options for weapons
yeah.
and loadout?
So if you look here, these are actually 2 of the exact same model. It's called a Chasseur Mark II. One has a...
I'm not sure where the camera is.
Rifle.
So I'll pick it up. One
has a rifle, and one has a bazooka. So in the game, those are different variants on the same model. There's not intricate there's not intricate customization that you see in other armies where I want this weapon and I want this weapon. No, you get a stock list to pick from.
Sure.
Do you want it with a bazooka? Do you want it with a rocket launcher? Do you want this? Do you want this?
But those things come within a unit box?
They come in the box. Most of the models are sold as 1 to 2 pack blisters because you don't need 20 of something.
Exactly.
One really cool thing, and I go to this in the video, is this game does not use squad types like you're used to them. 40K has a tactical squad for the Space Marines. In this game, there are archetypes, say general purpose, strike, fire support.
Sure.
When you build a unit, you build a general purpose unit. You don't build a squad of them.
Right.
You build a general purpose unit that might be able to include them. So you don't need 6 to 10 of the exact same model.
Which is good. Like I said, I prefer...
You get a lot of variety.
Low model count, skirmish type. Now, what's the play space, the play area?
So a standard 150 game is recommended on a 4x6.
4x6.
Yes.
Okay.
This is more than 150 points you see on the table here, just so you know.
Okay.
That's not far off of 150 points on a 6x4 table.
Now, and that makes for some crazy tactics, I assume.
Well, you got room to play around with. The weapon ranges are reasonably long, and there's some other stuff like we worked on. There's a really cool mission system in this game that is just absolutely awesome.
Okay.
You build your own mission essentially after you've built your army. It's really, but you have to use your army to build the mission. It's really weird, but it's really cool when it works.
Yeah, and I really want to get
all the time,
into a lot of that. So, but you know, this video was just an introduction to say, here's some of the models. I really like the plastic these Walker guys. They're and let's face it. I mean, they're very the design themselves before you put them in any type of medium is really squared up. So I'm sure it's a little easier to print to injection mold.
Yeah,
square spaces and so on and so forth than rounded things. But even the rounded pieces on this look really good.
Well, that one faction is very blocky. And then you get these guys that have no square surfaces on them whatsoever.
That's true. I didn't see those guys. They have the rounded shoulder pads.
So you get a lot of variety with that visually. The factions are really cool because this game has a lot of cross-faction play if you go look in very specific places. Like this faction, the camo one here, has quite a bit of cross-faction play. Okay. Under certain situations. These two, not so much. The blue guys here can have a fair amount. There is an entire faction that has no models, and it just says pick from these 4. Yeah. And you can play anything you want. Okay. All right. They're basically the hobos who live in the middle of nowhere who scratch together combat equipment. You can't have the fancy stuff, but you can have anything else. No restrictions. Have fun. Okay. I like that. And that's the kind of thing in that type of world where you come across like the model, the equipment that you use is kind of standardized, has like loader type things, like you said, like in Aliens kind of thing. Yeah. And then they just variations on the same kind of. Yeah, and that's something you're technology. Like, real world question: how drastically different are the worlds? Say the American Abrams from the German Leopard 2. Yeah. How radically different are those two combat vehicles? They all have the turret. They all have this. They all have that. Even beyond that, they have the same gun. Yeah. They have a lot of the same secondary weapons. They have the same British armament system. There you go. How dramatically different are they? Now, the game does keep faction identity, and you'll notice it, but it's more in options and what they do, not how they go about it. Like these two here fulfill the same role. Right. This guy has more hit points. This guy has bigger guns. Right. Okay. And I could sit here and talk about this thing all day, but
we just wanted to introduce it to you, let you know what's coming down, coming out here soon.
Mm-hmm. There's a video coming out. I go through the whole game, a little bit of the history, some of the mechanics, the high points, and also a little bit of the universe to kind of get you a taste for how did this work, what's going on, who's fighting.
And so he's in the how-to that's going to come out on the Heavy Gear. Is it called Heavy Gear Blitz?
I'll have to double check what it is.
So we'll have all the information down in the description where we show the link to their YouTube, but those videos are going to come out soon. And also some information for the website so you can get the taste of, the rules of the universe and such. And
you do need a forum account to get the rules right now because it is in beta. So you log into the forums and you can download the document. Keep in mind, it is a Word document. I know it looks really long. It's not.
Yeah.
It's mostly because Word is weird.
Yeah. Probably spacing and so on.
There's spacing and stuff like that. There's tables and things like that.
So we got a chance to look at some of the models. Leave a comment down below also if you have any more questions. We can try to get to those. Nick is a wealth of knowledge in a lot of things.
Especially this one.
Yeah, just let us know what you think about it. Look at some of the stuff that's online. Let us know if you want to see somewhere. You're going to see it anyway. But let us know if you're excited about it. And as usual, subscribe, like, and even more importantly, share. We want to make sure we get the word out that we're out here to as many people as possible. Check out here, probably about the time this video comes out, we should have our War Machine giveaway video. We're trying to get to our 100 subscribers. We're at 84 right now. And you could win a K-Door starter box. So check that out. You can see us on Facebook. Actually, if you go to our YouTube channel, at the top, in the header, bottom right, you're going to see our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter. You can click on any of those links and get in touch with us anywhere there, or send us a direct message on Facebook. Also, if you have any questions. And just keep playing games and keep asking the question, what game now?
One last closing comment. Oh. I know you just did your thing. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I do want to quickly address price point with this game. It is a skirmish game, 12 to 14 models. The starter boxes all build. You can build a 150-point army out of every single starter box.
Okay.
Usually well beyond that. The starter boxes retail for $60 to $70.
There you go.
Go find a 40K army for $70.
Not
that is 2,000 points.
Not going to happen.
There's a lot you can do with that army too in terms of.
You can't even usually get like 500 points.
That's a box.
That's in a.
The Sisters of Battle starting box. Did you see that?
Yeah.
$210. You know how many points it is? 398. You need 5 of those to field an army.
So, good price point. What I can see here, excellent models, and they're just getting better. So check it out. I won't bore you with the other stuff that I went through since Nick had that thought. But once again, keep playing games, keep asking the question, what game now, and we'll see you next time. Hey, this is Dave. If you like what we're doing here at What Game Now, go ahead and click on one of the videos which should be on either side of me, or click right in the middle and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell once you subscribe so that you know when we have new videos. Please go ahead and share us with your friends. Let everybody know that we're here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for all of our subscribers already. And we look forward to bringing you more content every chance that we get.